share, comment, subscribe, like, and follow. Always, always, always. Helping out. Appreciate it, everybody.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, the sound just came through. Let's get the mood swings
Bruce
blazing.
Wayne, and I was like, feeling like I'm Bruce Wayne. Young spit the words hot like two flames. Front night ain't really how we do things. Niggas ain't got time for all of the mood swings. Oh Lord, he done been here before. Know the city so big and take you on a tour. Money so big, can buy any store. If you want more, supply you some more. Take you on a trip, leave your bags at the door. Said that she let them well, not anymore. Fuck a nigga floating on so high that I saw. Ain't shit new, man, it seem made me bored. Make a king mad, be surprised when he roar. Can a young nigga make money anymore? Throw the money up, watch the money hit the floor. Niggas say they hit and watch jazz keep the door. Fresh Prince, nah, I really how to feel. How to feel, how to feel, how to feel. Be around motherfuckers so real. Kryptonite is love and it can't get you killed. Ask you again, just tell me how I feel. That's on my chest, so she saying like still. I'm like still, like still, like still. She like still, like still, like still. That night, I'm feeling like Bruce Wayne. Young spit the words hot like two flames. Niggas ain't got time for all the mood swings. Frontin' on the nigga, is that how we do things? Oh, work. Look, do you remember me? Rap down, magician, mix of remedies. A metaphor, elixir from within a dream. With the sleep, woke up and I'm still in a dream. Been great since the basics of many things. I fall short when looking at my enemies. Try to grade it your way in my memories. Welcome to the land of the wrong way to get into me. Can't stand still on islands of complicity. You looking at the nigga that you wish you could pretend to be. But I'm not really the kid's not mine. But you gon' remember me. Yeah, look. I'm feeling like Bruce Wayne. Young spit the words out like two flames. Front night ain't really how we do things. Niggas ain't got time for all of the mood swings. No sir. Yeah, do you remember me? Rap down and just a mix of remedies. A metaphor.
Dom just mixed remedies. A metaphor. Elixir from within a dream. Went to sleep, woke up, and I'm still in a dream. Yeah. What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing today? I'm Jay for the dub. We're here with Mary today. How are you doing today, Mary?
Hello, everybody.
Awesome. Yes. Today is a wonderful day, as I was pointing out over there on Instagram. For those of y'all who are joining in on Instagram, hello. Welcome. I know today the show is starting a little behind schedule. Actually, it's a lot of behind schedule. It's probably about 30 minutes because it's 10:30 now. But it's okay. And it's all right. We are here anyway. We're still going to do our full hour. We're still going to keep on going. What's up, champ? How are you doing today? Yes. But today is a wonderful Tuesday, as I've said before. Today we're going to be talking about how does it feel to be left out, in a sense. I know having Mary on the show, me and her definitely suffer from severe FOMO, in a sense. So I felt like today would be a wonderful day to talk about it. Hey, Camille, how are you doing? Appreciate you stopping in. You come in almost every single day. I appreciate longtime friend. Champ, say hey to Camille. I know you know Camille. And everything. But as I said, let's get started with today. I want to start off, I guess, by saying, Mary, what's your opening thoughts on just FOMO and the fear of missing out?
I mean, I feel like FOMO necessarily is more so heightened when you're an only child because you don't have like a sibling where it's like, okay, if I'm missing out on this party, I still have somebody to hang out with at home. It's really like, it's just you. And the fact that my parents didn't like allow me to have a dog because my mom has allergies to dogs.
Allergies.
So I was always like stuck at home. So I personally like, a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just go or invite yourself? And then I was always taught like somebody has to invite you to go somewhere. So then if they don't invite you, I'm always sitting at home like, oh man, I wonder what they're doing. Are they at a party or they're doing this, that, and the third? And I'm just like, I'm stuck here by myself. I mean, my dad's cool. Like I mostly hung out with my dad the whole time, but like he's not always in his teens.
Yeah.
He is like a grown man and has grown man things to do.
I feel like a part of it also has, well, I feel like this is like a way out there thought that has to be brought into, but both of us have older parents. So like the fact of our parents not being so like I know when I was younger, we definitely had a lot of like family parties and get together where there's a lot of older people. But other than, just like the older people parties that we would attend, yes, I am in Twitch. But aside from those older people parties, like I said, you'd always see the older people party, and then you're like, oh, well, I want to be one of the older people. I want to be one of the older people. Always telling you, no, y'all go play with the kids, and it might only be like 2 or 3 kids around, and it's like that's where it all originally started, because like our parents were older, right. So they had their like set group of friends or whatever. Maybe they were in their 30s or and late 20s, and I know we're in our late 20s now, or you're in your mid 20s. I'm in my late 20s. Right. Whatever you want.
Don't age me.
Don't age me. But yeah, I know definitely right now we're in the prime stages of our life where we want to get out and do a lot of stuff and be active with a lot of people. So with the fact of having older parents, I think that definitely brought a huge fact of having that FOMO in place already. Definitely just like I know I was either one of the older kids always or the youngest kid in my circle or group of people. No, did not mean for that to happen. Yes, I am doing my show today. That actually came through in a text message, but I don't know why I answered the question. I answer all the questions that pop up here, but yeah. To my point, like I was saying, I feel like the fact of having older parents and stuff like that, and them having their little older people get-togethers and stuff, and always wanted to be one of the adults, definitely added to my FOMO and stuff like that.
But you have like siblings. Well, granted, your siblings are.
But to my point, like I said, if the grown-ups are all doing something, even with having siblings, like it could be me, my little brother, and then maybe the person whose house we're at, they might have a son or a daughter or whatever, but that's just 3 kids opposed to like maybe 10 adults altogether. Yeah. So
I mean, when I was growing up, we used to go on like these camping trips. I know I've told you about these camping trips, but we had like 3, maybe 4 different families, and each of those families had bare minimum 2 kids. So you think about like 2 kids, 2, 4, 6, and then myself. So that was fun, but then that stopped for whatever reason, we'll say. And then I was just like, okay, well now I'm stuck at home. Like we stopped going camping. We did vacations, but it was literally just my mom, my dad, my grandmother, and me. Like no other kids came. I was just basically there by myself. The only time I really had like friends or like other people around is when we did like our trips, our yearly trips before school starts to Palm Springs, because at the time my parents had a timeshare, so I was like, yeah, I'm inviting all my friends, and it was mostly just like Asha and like one other friend, and we would just have a blast. But like, yeah, I always feel like I'm missing out on something, and especially now growing up, you're like, you have bills to pay, so you really can't like, oh yeah, you want to go on this trip to Paris? Yeah, let's do it. Like, okay, wait, you got to make sure rent's paid, utilities are paid, like all these other things, and now you're adulting, and you feel like you're still missing out. And you're growing up thinking like, oh yeah, when I grow up, I want to have all this time and I could do all these things. And then you realize like, yeah, you have to think about responsibilities when you grow up. Your parents aren't taking care of you anymore. You have to take care of yourself and your bills and your cell phone bill. Make sure you can talk to people, and you got to take care of, water, electricity, and make sure you can take a shower and turn on the lights so you can see where you're going in your house. Like, I still feel like I'm missing out on so much. I would love to go places.
I feel like that adds to the fear of missing out, or, just missing out in general, because now you feel like on top of not being able to do, whatever it is that everybody else is being able to do, like he might not have the money to go to this vacation trip or that vacation trip, or even, have the money to go on vacation, especially for us. We went on vacation to Texas recently, and we visited with everybody, and out there in Texas, I definitely have a lot more friends and stuff like that, and we all congregate at my brother's house, and just being around everybody all the time for a whole week straight, and then coming back to being at home in Los Angeles, where we're definitely a lot more quarantined still than they are out there in Texas. It definitely makes me feel like I'm really missing out. We talk to people on Xbox and stuff like that, and you can hear all the stuff going on in the background, or like two people in the same house, and they're like playing in two different locations. Like you can hear two what's going on in two different rooms, and it just sounds like a lot. And a lot of times you definitely feel like you're missing out on that from that aspect of everything. I don't know why I keep getting these spam likely calls. I'm definitely not missing out on those. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything when those people call me. But yeah, like definitely going from that aspect of having everybody around and then not having a lot of people around, it definitely you can feel it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you say you have FOMO and going back to Texas and saying like how you had all this stuff, like all these friends all go to Jared's house, or y'all always had something going on. So when you say you have like FOMO, I'm just like, how? Like that's how you were like growing up. You grew up with like a ton of people around. I grew up with like 2 adults and then my grandmother, and like, but basically I grew up around more old people. Well, not old, seasoned, whatever.
Older.
And right. And you grew up with more like, you still have like your group of friends you can like go out and hang out with, whereas like I was beyond sheltered to where like I barely did slumber parties. I probably did like 1 to 2 slumber parties.
No, I never really did slumber parties either.
But y'all were still out there. Y'all were still doing stuff.
What's up, champ?
A champ popping in.
He is. What's up? You have a question? You was. No. Oh. Well, I mean, you can butt in wherever we left off, or whatever where you were gonna start from, So.
Whenever she was explaining it, and I was thinking about what she was saying, it kind of felt like, and I was thinking about she was in the middle. Wow. It wasn't like I was saying what she was saying. It kind of felt like I was missing out on nothing. It just felt like, she was in the middle, but it wasn't like I was just there. It wasn't like I was missing out on nothing. It just felt like, she was in the middle, but it wasn't like I was just there.
My bad. But yeah, I was listening. Say that last part again. You were saying you don't ever feel like you're actually the one who's like missing out or whatever.
Yeah.
And stuff. Because you felt like you were like the only person in the room in a sense. And
yeah, it felt like whenever I was in your situations, I felt like what Mary felt like. Although I was in your situations, I don't know. It sounded like something familiar to me. I guess just because both of y'all were saying it, I was getting both of y'all shit. So I don't know.
I feel you. I definitely can understand where like what you're talking about with that, because I know you've always had like there's always been a lot of people around you, or there's people who wanted like resonated to you in a sense, so they like try to what's the word they just they actively were trying to be around you. It's not that you were going and trying to be around those other people. You were always the one like doing something that other people wanted to be around. So like it's not like you felt like you were missing out so much as like it's just sometimes certain people weren't there, or certain people weren't around, and it's like, dang, like I wish my little bro was here, or this particular bro is here, or whatever. Is that kind of like is that hitting it a little bit? You're cutting out for a minute. I can't hear you right this second, but nah, you had cut out for a minute, for like a couple of seconds. I didn't hear what you said. But yeah, could you understand what he was saying, or did you have anything to say to that, Mary, or add to it?
No, I couldn't really hear him actually.
Oh, I understand. No, we can see you and hear you, but it just was that 1 second. It was definitely breaking up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel you. I get where you coming from. It's that's kind of like what I said, but a totally different explanation of it. But I feel you. I know where you coming from. It's crazy that people. I don't know. I really don't know how to explain or even to say that. Like, could you hear what he was saying, Mary? No, he wasn't. Well, basically, he was just explaining. There's a statue in, you said Chicago, right? That's where the first time? Yeah, so there's a statue in Chicago that it's a famous statue. People go to it, and the statue is made out of a particular material. I couldn't remember, make out exactly what Champ. Oh, it's made out of copper. But the fact that people didn't visit it so much and rub the nose of the statue, it's actually made the statue's nose appear to be gold. And Champ was using that explanation, or that example, as explaining how he feels whenever, when it comes to people like, being around people, or, people seeing him and stuff like that. So he added a lot more to it, but that's like the gist of what he was saying. She was listening as much as it's just kind of hard to hear you because you only coming through the volume on my phone. I managed to put you on there. I have a few of those type of things, but an angle where you said an angle where you could see me and Mary. What, like on Instagram? Like here? Oh. I don't know why it's not on Twitch for some reason. Like, it's not on Twitch, but it's on Facebook. And I don't know if I'm on YouTube, but I know it. I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on this morning. Okay.
Hi.
Statue doesn't have a story, like it doesn't tell you nothing, and I feel like that's how people like treated me for like years and years. Like people would just, I'll be at Jordan House doing my thing, and then people would just come behind and be like, "Hey, yo, bro, this second theater daughter," like they was just coming to like I was that statue for years. Like you don't understand how many like people was like. It felt like I'm using like people revolving doors. Sometimes it felt like 10 people at a time. I don't know you. With all of them, feel like they're like on that good look. They feel like, what up, big bro? Like they coming for what people told them the statue holds. It holds good luck. It holds. I hold this. I hold that. I hold this. That's what they wanted. But then ain't nobody like get my story. So that's why I was saying I was feeling like Jordan, like how. You had all the people around, but I felt like you know situations where he had all the people around, but I just felt like they didn't see me, like they couldn't see me, they wasn't getting my shit. But that's some shit I said before, like I said, but I know to explain it to you, because I know you can hear it or whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's hard to hear because he's got the phone in over there with him on the desk. But I feel it. Hey. Bye.
Sometimes you need a medium for Jared, but yeah.
But still, like, fucking, like, I don't know, it ain't like a, I don't know, ain't no fair fight when it's like shit.
I feel your life. Nah, don't mess with Discord, Jared. It says you can only hear Champ on IG.
For years it felt like I was just a statue.
I get you. I mean, I feel you. That's a different feeling. Like I said, that's not like I guess when I say I don't feel you because that's not like the feeling that I ever got. But I can understand. Like I can from what I visually have seen. Like I can understand why you would feel that way. I guess that's what I mean to say. I'm not trying to say that I can actually. I've felt that or anything that people have come and come to like to look at me in a particular way, but I can definitely understand where you.
People love
People.
Like people love you, and they got to get to know you. Like people love Jordan for Jordan. Like people, like I'm saying, they just hurt. Like they heard. Like it was never a random meeting. Somebody came to see me. Why you what? I don't even like. I'm not whatever I am to them. 99% I'm not. I can't even equate to that to you for you. You're coming for. You think you don't get the effect? You think you're gonna get an effect that's not guaranteed? And then niggas get disappointed. Then niggas who I actually have a connection with, who I love, want to hurt because they got a connection with you, and you done slid and you done failed, but they like, damn, they next champ. How could they fall? Because I had my hands on you and
But that's kind of like when we was that. But that's just like.
on the side of your house. Then I'm in a motherfucking ambulance. Then I'm looking at police and I'm like, then y'all gotta teach me how to fucking type talk walk again.
But that's just like the conversation we was having yesterday about the whole life experiences and like people get not everybody the same life experience is gonna be the same. That statue just there, the statue necessarily don't got the story. It's everybody else's who got the story. Like you said, like you ain't gonna be the as much as somebody wants to say like they visited the statue and they got the same euphoric feeling, that the last person got, or the person who told them their story, and thief dottery, so on and so forth. Like I said, everybody has that. Everybody has their own way of going about things, or basically everybody's gonna get their own experience. Like that's just basically the same conversation we was having the other day. I mean, we just was having that on a different tone and stuff like that, but. That also, like you said, that all cycles back. Say what?
I feel like you get what we were talking about that day better today than you got it today we were talking about. At least you're putting your thoughts together.
Yeah.
You was getting like deep into it, but today you know what you're talking. You know what you want to say.
Yeah, definitely, that's for sure. I'm not trying to make it where it seems like I don't know what I'm talking about, because I definitely have very straight and thought process, but there's a lot of things that are incorporated into things that I want to pinpoint so people can actually get their mind thinking a little bit more, because I feel like my mind be working at a bazillion miles per hour, and then I drive past people and I circle back around and I see, dang, you ain't really made it that far. Like my thoughts, I done came and circled back around on you twice before you actually got to the point that I was really trying to get you to. I kept pushing you and pushed you, but I can only push you so far, because if I keep pushing you too fast, you might get whiplash. But yeah. Mary, I noticed that you have not had that much of a chance to talk about much of anything, and granted, Champ's kind of taking us a little bit off topic, but also I was just about to bring it back around to what we're talking about the fear of missing out, and to your point of like how people.
I thought that was a topic.
Huh?
I thought that was a topic.
What, the fear of missing out, or just your experiences?
Yeah.
Like.
I just went off of what John said. I said I felt like Mary in your situation, but I didn't know what to call that. Like because you felt someone like. Differently than she did, but I was feeling like her situation and your situation.
I get you. Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was about to bring it back full circle, fully, so those who wasn't able to follow that could completely follow. But like I was saying, basically everybody's experiences with you and stuff like that. Everybody wants to, get that same experience, or feel the same thing that the last person has felt. and their experiences with you, and like you said, like not everybody gets that, and everybody is searching for that. So that's like in the same sense, like I said, the fear of missing out. That these people fear that they're not getting the same champ or whatever from you as the energy that you put into somebody else in a sense. And I feel like that all goes back to the person. Like I said, that's a personal thing, but like I said, I guess that's how we all get our own little versions of FOMO and stuff like that. But ultimately, it is crazy that somebody could be so envious of another person that they feel like, or just in general, you get envious of somebody just to feel like that whatever it is that they're doing, that you're not actually having the same time that they're having. And granted, we all live the same life. We all are here on the earth, at the same time. So,
but yeah. One more. I got it's like because I think you missed just a little bit like spots to see it.
Go ahead.
It's like what I meant by like when people don't get people like the people like that I love be like, dang, I took him to the statue. Why isn't he getting the same thing that I'm getting? Like, and then their reaction is what affected me feeling like that.
Fear of missing out.
Feel like they was missing. Yeah, that like it's like how Kel not knowing, like bro not knowing what he asking me is what he asking me. Like, did I have anything to do with bro? Like, he can't fathom. Like Kel couldn't fathom it happening. Like just like a lot of us. But he's not knowing what he's talking about. But if it was someone else, like let's say if it was like Larry came to me and asked me that would have crushed me to that's different though, you feel me? But that would have been his. But that's what I've experienced, that's what I'm saying, over and over and over and over and over. Cause the people that I hold close, they got people that they care about, and they like, how, nigga? How is the person I care about with me, with you, or not? Like, but I mean, like, they there. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. This is that's a lot to kind of to take in and kind of turn around and explain in a sense. But I definitely get what you're saying. But my just from that, like I said, that kind of like, I don't know, it made me think in a dozen different directions in the sense of you kind of bringing up the fact of like, if Kale were to question you in one way, and Larry question you in another, in that same way, but like I said, those things hold two different tones and stuff like that. But my dad asked a question. He said, "Fear of missing out on what?" Yes, Champ does have brothers and sisters. Champ has two older siblings, but the fear of missing out. But yeah, no. It was just a question that happened to popped up in the questions. But the fear of missing out. FOMO it's just the fear of missing out on the fact that you see other people doing stuff. So I guess in your case, the fear of missing out would be seeing all your children congregating together and thinking like, oh, like that would be a wonderful thing, like, for me to be there as well, but also, like, it's just being able to see what other people are doing, like, going on Facebook and seeing like, oh, so many people that you love and adore gathering together and feeling like, oh, like I wish I was there, or like it would have been wonderful to a fellowship with these people together, and so on and so forth, like just like that. That's basically the fear of missing out. It's the things that you would love to do, but you had to be at work, or you had to be at a funeral, or whatever, your life, whatever comes in your life that you had to do, and you ended up missing out on being around for a particular thing. Some people, like I said, you could use it, just thinking about scenarios that come off the top of my head. A lot of times you can definitely put the fear of missing out into context into, say, like Shamia lived with her mom for, so many years and stuff like that, and we lived in Texas and stuff like that. There's parts of Shamia's life that you missed out on, but, like ultimately the FOMO, the fear of missing out, like I said, you, in a sense, you still had to live your life and do the things you had to do to make sure you could provide for your family and so on and so forth. There's time that you actually don't get to spend with your family that you're living with, and then there's also the fear that you're missing out on particular things in that person's life that you really would have loved to see or cherish and so on. So that's basically just the full-on explanation of the FOMO, fear of missing out. It's not fear of missing out on anything particular, but it's just the things that you probably love and care about that you would want to see, or the things that you could cherish, like I said, if you were there or you weren't there, and so on and so forth. I feel like that's a best way I can explain FOMO in a nutshell. But yeah, Champ, you were going to say, so you not gonna accept my request? I can only accept one request at a time, Jared. So if you're requesting me on this one, then I can't accept you. I can only accept you. If you wanted to come on, I can accept you at in real life, but I can't accept you on J for the Dub, because I already have Champ here, and there's only one. You can only do one at a time. Okay, that was a good explanation. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to do better at explaining particular things so people can actually grasp the concept or the picture that I'm trying to paint. You understand? Mary, I have you on the show today for a reason. I don't want you to get FOMO while sitting on my show while we're talking about FOMO.
I mean, you got. It sounds like you got somebody that's got some thoughts on the topic. So I'm just trying to let everybody get their say in.
We definitely have you here to have your thoughts on the topic. I know we've said a lot. I've said a lot. Champ's said a lot. I'm pretty sure he has some more to say. He's getting FOMO as we speak just because he wants to talk. but go ahead, please. Speak your mind. Everybody is here and they want to hear your what you have to say.
It's just the fear of missing out. I mean, you always feel like you're missing out on something that you could enjoy but can't enjoy because you have some other responsibilities you have to take care of. So it's just that's pretty much.
Do you feel like people who put their okay, let me rephrase this question. Do you feel like people who prioritize their fun over their responsibilities are like people that a lot of people envy in the sense of getting FOMO, or like those are the people who create FOMO in an unhealthy or maybe toxic energy space or whatever? Because if you're not taking care of your responsibilities, ultimately, you're not. I don't know. It is.
I mean, I don't think that they're not taking care of their responsibilities as much as they probably have either somebody helping them with their responsibilities, so the money that they're making can go to the things that they actually want to do. But I don't necessarily you see all the fun stuff they're doing, so you obviously are going to envy what they're doing. Like, if they get to go on this vacation and get to spend 3 weeks away, and I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but, I have 3 dogs. How am I going to pay for them on top of paying for the vacation, on top of then sitting there and enjoying the vacation, knowing that you're going to have to come back to home and still have to deal with the regular responsibilities of an everyday, situation. And the fact that quarantine is here isn't helping you be able to feel comfortable enough to go on a vacation in the first place. That's the reason we only went for a week. I would have preferred to go for 2 weeks, but the way Corona is messing up my funds right now, I can only afford to go for 1 week. So those people who can afford to go for 2 weeks either have somebody helping them or they're making 6 figures, which I am not. So can't really get
too upset or been out of shape.
Exactly, because at some point we're all going to be missing out, feeling like we're missing out on something. I don't feel like anybody is just like, yeah, I'm not missing out on anything unless you're like, you've passed that age to where it's like, I've done all I've done. You're in like your 80s or something like that. You've retired. You've seen, your kids grow up and their kids grow up and you get to see them and this, that, and the third. So I feel like at that age, you really haven't missed out on much. But when you're like in your 20s, sometimes even in your 30s, you feel like you're missing out on certain things, or you feel like, oh, well, they're starting, they're getting, married, kids, whatever, and you feel like you need to be there because that's where your age group is at, or they're younger than you. You feel like you're missing out on being, I guess, some version of some type of an adult, which adult is a very, who is an adult really?
Word.
Like, who's an adult really? Like,
yeah.
We're all just figuring this shit out as we go. It's not like we have it all figured out, but we're all feeling like we're missing out on something. Like, even if we're here and, Champ's in San Diego, like, what Champ doing in San Diego? Man, he might be having some fun. We should go down there, but dang, we got 3 dogs we got to put up and this, that, and the third. And so it's like, I would like to go, but I have to take care of these responsibilities and make sure I have money to survive and have food in the house. So you're always missing out on something. Everybody's always in a fear of missing out on something.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not it's as prevalent in their mind and as like it's in the forefront of like, okay, I'm always going to miss out on something, or if it's in the back, it's like, yeah, I'm missing out, but I have this, I have this, I have this, so I'm content until I can get my money up after COVID to just go blow it on a cruise. And actually not a cruise. I will not be going on a cruise. I will not. I don't even know if I really want to be flying again. That's a real thing. But I've heard the planes are actually very clean, so maybe.
But too, I did have my dad asked a question. He said, so we all have this fear? I would say mostly yes. Majority of people who don't live a over ambitious or what's the word I really want to use?
The lavish.
Yeah, luxe and lavish lifestyle. Because there was an episode, I know Oprah had touched on FOMO at one point in time. I don't know if it was actually on her Oprah show or whatever new thing she's doing on her, what is it, her channel? Or
her
whatever.
own network.
Her network, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, what she's doing on her own network. But Oprah did touch on FOMO, and Oprah personally said that she does not have FOMO as much as she's more so the person who wants to miss out. But granted, you think about Oprah. Oprah has tons of money. Oprah doesn't really have a family like that. So, like I was saying, in my explanation of FOMO, and wanting to feel like you're missing out on those things that are going on in your like the people, your loved ones, and stuff like that's lifestyle or life. You're feeling like you're missing out on those wonderful moments or cherishing those moments with those people. Like I said, birthdays, first time they drive, your dog losing their first tooth or whatever, have it. Because I know we got Coda, and he just was losing teeth left and right, and I haven't found not one of them. I'm pretty sure he's a monger, so he probably ate them, but... Yeah, like I said, those are things that you really want to see, or even when we was driving from California, you like to see whenever the mileage rounds up to 1,000, and each time you would look over and it'd be like...
I'd be asleep, and then I wake up and it'd say 6,011.
Yeah, right, it'd just be just past it. And you're like, oh man, like even those little things like that cause some sort of, FOMO and stuff, so... Definitely see where those things can the point I was making, y'all get me, but yes, so those things can definitely create FOMO, or you have FOMO for those different things happening, or you see them happen, and I feel like FOMO is more it's really just like a past tense thing. Like you can see something actively happening. Does that technically count as FOMO? If you see on Instagram or whatever that somebody's throwing a party or whatever, and it's just started. It's only 9:00. You know, this party's gonna go till 9. Would you say you're getting FOMO as it's
Well, as of
happening?
right now, if it's current situation, absolutely not. You can have that party. I'm going to stay COVID free over here, even if it is a hoax. I'm not getting sick. I'm cool staying over here. Y'all can have that party. But if it was before COVID, I'd have been like, oh man, that looks like fun. Like, I see Asha all the time in New York going out, living
Well, I'm
her
talking
best
about
life.
if it's down the street, would you say you're having FOMO if you can actively just go to the party?
Oh, no. If I can walk there, I'm going to just like walk by, see what's going on, be like,
Yeah. Parent substitute doing single things to parent things from their children.
I'm sorry. I really have to go to the bathroom.
Go ahead,
I will be
go ahead.
right back.
You're fine.
Excuse me. Hold on.
But yeah, it says parent substitute doing single things to parent things for their children. Oh yes. That was kind of like the point I was like trying to make with the whole saying. Coda, what are you doing? But yeah, that was kind of the whole point I was making about. I was trying to make though about people throwing away their responsibilities to actually just go and live their life. You know, there's some people who actively, and you can visually see them like throwing their responsibilities out and not even being attentive to their responsibilities, and just actively just like being irresponsible just so they can live this lavish lifestyle or whatever. I know there's plenty of people who got kids and they're just out there going to the club and doing whatever. Like, where your kids at? Oh, they at their grandma house. Like, you horrible parent, you. Well, no, I mean, you think about it. How many people can actually say that they were raised by their grandparents? I know a lot of people who would say that. I definitely know a lot of people who raised by other people who are the same age as them, if not, you know, their brother or sister or whatever. Granny love their kids. Grannies do love their kids, but Champ, you have anything to say to that? Because Mary is at the restroom right now, so you got open chance to talk.
Come on. Bad parent. Come on. What up, Jared? Come on. Fuck. Come on. Shit. What? I don't really know what I'm supposed to say something to again.
You done said so much since I done got a chance to talk. He's like, I really don't know where to interject. He's just like, bad parent.
Bad parent. I agree, indeed. I guess it's a whole fight.
I don't know. I just know too many people who. No. What really I can say is, it really blows my mind whenever you come across somebody you're shocked that they got kids or whatever. Like you was telling me, one of y'all's friends who frequently flies a lot got kids and stuff like that. It's like, how are you flying all over the place if you got kids? They be zooming. But yeah, I feel like that this ultimately comes around to a conversation of either bad parenting or a whole nother conversation. But I guess while I have your attention right now, how outdated would you say the school system is? Because Jared's been pushing me. He's like, have you talked about how outdated the school system is? And I'll be like, no, I haven't talked about that. I was like, I can open the conversation tomorrow. I was like, I wasn't planning on going in that harsh of a direction, but I do have your attention. And Mary just got back, and her
some bullshit talking about like they
I feel you. I feel you.
Especially in Texas, when it's this basically second language. But yeah, so like, yeah, they can take out a lot of stuff, put all this stuff in to make school work on. Take out like they had so many dumbass classes in school. Take out all the dumbass classes, interject, put like credit, put fucking investing, put the shit that you actually should be learning, the shit that they end up making you pay for, the shit that they end up making you pay for, the shit that they should teach you from fucking grade school.
Yeah. They definitely should start teaching kids how to do their taxes in school. Ooh, or figure out how to or teach kids how to file a W-2.
All that shit running up, all those be like, running up with that shit on the letter and send that shit in, but they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that because that's what you're supposed to pay for when you go to college. That's what you're gonna get debt for. Nah, nigga, I got the internet. Fuck you.
Government and economy should be more important of a class. They need to take, yeah, Savon says they need to, school washed out. He says, he said they need to teach taxing and stuff, and he says government and economy should be more important of a class. That's true. That is true, but yeah.
But not they teach it though, because they don't teach. They like in government and econ. That's not those subjects. They like do like the history of those subjects, not actually those subjects, and how you can apply them to today. Like that shit dumb as fuck.
Facts. Very factual. Very factual. I wish they would, actually try and teach you something instead of yelling at you to sit down, because honestly, that's all I can remember. And it wasn't even like they yelling at me. They just yelling to be yelling.
Every time I went to sleep and woke up, I could still give them the answer. That shouldn't be possible.
Too many times. Too many times. The sad part about it is that they feel embarrassed whenever you do that. It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't be sleeping. It's like, well, I'm sorry that you feel like I've made a fool of you. They should teach how to balance a checkbook. Yeah, they should. I mean, that would be a real thing, how to balance a checkbook, if people actually had checkbooks still. But yeah.
No, but that's not still as good to know the balance in the checkbook that can go into your fucking bills and shit. You can still do that. Doing like budgeting. That's basically budgeting.
True. Facts. Factual. But yeah, I feel you. They could do all kind of things. Jared says slept through 8th grade math. He's silly.
Hell yeah, that's the last period. I see him after that every time. You be like,
You a fool. Crazy. Jared keeps sending me these invites to try and join in. So let me let him get in here before I finish this off. I gotta let you go though, cause it only lets me do. But yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me like hang you up. You stupid. Alright, peace. Alright, we're gonna let Jared in here. There we go. What's up? Yeah. Shit, I'm finally in this hole.
I joined 30 minutes ago. It's cool. We're not talking about it. So like what y'all was saying about schools and I was gonna say, the one of the biggest problems is that, like you were saying, like how they just, you said, only thing I remember is that, you know what I'm saying, they was trying to teach the guy to sit down and sit still and shit. That's one thing. Like, they got recess and shit in like elementary school, but that's usually like towards the end of the day type shit. I really just feel like in general they shouldn't teach everybody like everyone learns the same, because everyone doesn't learn the same way. And I understand, like, there's only so many teachers, you know what I'm saying, per student. There'd be like, one teacher to like 25 students and shit. So like it's harder for them to do that. But the thing is, they don't pay teachers to really even care. They don't pay them enough to actually care. So I'm saying, unless you just lucky enough to have a teacher that really cares about your education, then they don't have really any incentive to care, because they're not getting paid to care. They're just getting paid to, basically, for the most part, in elementary school, it seems like they're just being paid to be an 8-hour daycare for the most part. It's like, all right, let's just keep these kids
every
here.
once in a while, they'll throw in an educational fact.
Right, they'll throw in some education in there, but then, like, they'll repeat the same shit over and over again, because, like, I feel like kindergarten through second grade, I didn't really learn, I didn't learn too much more in second grade that I didn't already learn in, like, kindergarten.
I feel like everything I learned from kindergarten to second grade, I learned it at home, and then they just gave us, like, some stuff that might have gave us information or whatever.
Right, and then like they just give you the what's on the curriculum type shit. They don't even give you just like shit that you really need to know. I mean, of course, basic math, you need to know, but as far as like you learn basic math and then you learn a little bit of history, and then it just seems like they expand on the events a little bit more. Like when you get to middle school and stuff, but it's like really no different. But like the thing is, it worked for me, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess a lot of times a lot of people just don't pay attention, so that doesn't help at all. But also too, you have to try to keep the kids' attention well, instead of, they use fear to try to keep your attention. They don't actually try to do anything to actually help you. And if their fear just doesn't work, then they really don't know what to do outside of it. Then they isolate you and put you in detention and do all this other shit. But like, none of that's really contributing to your education at all for you to just because I'm in trouble now. Like it doesn't help. And then you see a lot of kids. You see those problem kids in school the whole. You know what I'm saying? They're having troubles their whole life in school, but you know them outside of school, and you know they're not dumb. You know this person is intelligent, and it's like, well, why can't you get good grades in school? It's because school's not actually about making you intelligent or trying to help you be intelligent. They're just about you passing these tests.
Yeah, that's very true, because I know school, all they did was call my parents and tell my parents that I wasn't doing right in school, even though I could wake up and be in the same class as everybody else and then wake up and take a test and still get a good grade on the test, but they're just mad that I'm not following their rules or whatever. And then just ultimately call my parents and get me in trouble. Like, that's going to make me want to do this work. Like, it's really counterproductive. And I'm starting to realize, like, more I look back on stuff like that, how positive reinforcement in kids is, like, super important. Dang. That just went, the live on Instagram just went down, but it's all good because we will start it back up if we have to. But in the meantime, since we're going to keep the show going, we will ask Mary, why you keep making that face? You feeling better now? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, I know you had a very different childhood experience when it comes to school and stuff like that. So, what would you say about the school system?
Well, I grew up in private schools, so
That's very common for kids in California.
The experiences that you guys are talking about, I did not have to experience because I was in predominantly white private schools my entire life. So
that definitely had to be a interesting dynamic, though, as far as being like one of the black kids in a private school, and that definitely had to. Wouldn't you say that put a dampen on your what you could learn or how you felt about learning?
Not necessarily. I feel like my parents put me in those schools to make sure that I got to, like, they had a vision for what they wanted my life to look like. And by life, I mean just educational purposes, not my entire life. But they wanted me to definitely get to college, and they felt the best way to get me to college would be to put me in private schools, because my mom went to private school and she graduated at an early age. And, I mean, granted, she started working and then went back to school in her 40s, but they still wanted me to have the best possible option to get the degree that they wanted me to have, a bachelor's degree. So they tried to set me up for success. But, find that being in private schools, there wasn't a lot of black people in those private schools, so not a lot of people that look like me. So it was just like, we'd all have our classes, but we'd mostly all just come together. Like, especially at lunch, you would see like the lunch area or the yard was definitely
all the
black kids one place, and then all the white kids, and then the Hispanics just mixed in wherever they felt more comfortable at. But yeah, we were always like to ourselves pretty much. I feel like I learned a lot about like black things and some black culture from being around those certain kids who weren't always in private school. They had public school and then switched to private school. So I gained knowledge from them through that. But I definitely think the school system, public or private, definitely needs some how to, outside of your parents, how to, make sure you get enough money to make ends meet, how to do your taxes, W-4, like all those things. I feel like they should teach those regardless. But I feel like in private school, how Jared was saying, like they taught everybody the same. I feel like private school, they definitely take the time to, if you're struggling, they will set aside time to sit down and walk you through it, but in a different perspective. That way it'll help you learn better. So that's the private school system, though. It wasn't really like, I didn't really have too many problems in private school. I wasn't really like getting called to the principal's office that much. But that's because I was mostly in sports all the time, so they didn't have a chance to catch me.
Well, they definitely, I will say, kids who are in sports and stuff like that, they definitely get them special privileges sometimes and stuff like that.
I don't think I had. Sorry, I didn't have coffee this morning. I don't think they gave us special treatment, because I feel like in private schools, everybody more or less is in a sport. And I was in a school where it's like you're in sports or you're in performing arts. So it was pretty much like mostly divided like that. There was like the few chances that people who were in sports actually transferred over into the performing arts, so that's how that mixed in together. But
well, you said most of the kids were all in sports already, so what how many kids were in your graduating class?
35 I think would be I think 35 is probably about the right number. But I pretty much knew everybody in my class, like, by their names. I probably hang out with them maybe once. There were some people that I didn't choose to hang out with after that one time. But we also did, like, we did these, I guess you call them color wars, something like that, where we all take a trip out for a 3-day weekend, and the whole entire school, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors in high school, we'd be put on a team, but we'd all be mixed up. So we'd always have freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors on one team and another team and another team. So we'd sit there and like we'd go through like obstacles together, like as a team, and whoever won at the end just, got bragging rights. But that's about it. It's not like we won anything. But we always took those trips every year out to, I think it was some, like, I don't know where it actually was, I think. But it was in California, obviously. But it was cool because, you get your permission slip signed by your parents and you're gone for 3 days. So you get to be away from your parents for 3 days.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
I can definitely say that. That's cool. I definitely did not get that in the public school system at all.
Mm.
We definitely, all we did was, like I said, they primarily just try to keep us all in one space and keep us happy. I know my graduating class was close to 100. Actually, no, I'm that's cap. It was way more than 100 and something people in high school. Granted, I didn't go to the same high school all the way through high school, so the graduating class that I actually had was a lot smaller because it was a different school. But the original high school that I originally went to, South Grand Prairie, they had close to 1,000 kids in a graduating class. 900. I know Jared, when he gets back in here or whatever, he can definitely tell us, like, he had one of the biggest graduating classes of South Grand Prairie, which is quite a big deal. I know some of those kids, they kind of just pushed them through and let them pass. Like, they didn't actually pass. They just they came up to the end of the year. They was like, you need a half a credit. It was like, yeah. They're like, well, if you do this and do that, these extra credit, you can get the credit or the half a credit. You could actually graduate with an extra half a credit or whatever. And they was doing all types of stuff like that to push people through to graduate. It was very pushy, I could say. I don't know how you want to describe it, but the school system is broken ultimately. We're actually at 1 hour and 7 minutes, so and I did have to restart over the Instagram live because Instagram only lets you go for 1 hour. That's one of the glories about my show only being 1 hour, because I can still do the Instagram thing at the same time and it doesn't matter. But that's that. Had a very interesting show today, I will definitely say. I don't know, would you like to be on the show tomorrow?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. I have another wonderful day with Mary. We can definitely get into some other stuff. Maybe we won't take any Instagram requests because they seem to take up a lot of time and it is kind of hard to incorporate them in the show visually. And I think it actually, if I'm on Instagram, it kind of takes away from the show posting on Twitch or something. I have no idea because it's not on Twitch today. Twitch is normally the primary. Oh no, wait, we are on Twitch. Oh no, wait, no, that's Twitch. That's it. It's under live now. I don't know why it's not showing like it should, but it's here. We're live on Twitch, but it says we've been live on Twitch for 38 minutes. Crazy. I don't know. Twitch is tripping today, but yeah. Hold on, let me say one more thing. Jared gonna come back and say one more thing. Is Jared clearer than Champ? Can you hear Jared?
Well, I can understand Jared. Champ sometimes
You're hilarious.
It's a little difficult.
I feel
Love him, but it's a little difficult at times. So I can't necessarily catch everything that he is saying.
I feel you. He's country. He can be country. Very much so. Give everybody a wave. That makes a difference. Betty. Okay, so I do this. Instagram is more real interactive. If I'm live on Instagram, it's not a delay like it is on Twitch and everything. They should teach how interests work and more about finance. Honestly, you know what I really think about the school system? I'm giving you a quick little snippet of what I really think. because I don't think I ever really got a chance to say what I was thinking. But I honestly think that the school system should be set up and broken down more, not so much more by age as much as like kind of like Jared was saying about like people's intellectual levels in a sense. No, that gets to a very judgy point that you can say, kind of, whereas it's going to make it seem like, oh, well, you're pointing out that my 6-year-old is smarter than this 12-year-old and such and such and such, such and such and such. I mean, but those two people do learn at two different rates, and you got to understand that with them learning at two different rates, like I said, they're not going to be mentally at the same place. And, if you're 16 years old and you're in class with a 5-year-old or a 12-year-old, and y'all are, just because y'all learn at the same rate, then it does feel quite insulting to that 15-year-old or whatever to be in class with a 7-year-old or whatever, because this 7-year-old is more intellectually inclined than you are. But to the point I was about to say is that if they broke down the school years and stuff like that a little bit better, or more classification to where somebody actually is on a mental state, then they could do a lot more. Like, for instance, if, whenever kids get to the age that they're normally in ninth grade, a lot of kids are relatively like 15, getting closer to 16 years old and stuff like that. So and a lot of kids don't want to go to school at that age. No, if you started giving these kids like giving these kids the chance to work, maybe start putting money in their pocket instead of going to school. Because I knew for a long time, especially when I was at that age, like 16 and stuff, I was like, you know what? Like, forget school. They're not putting any money in my pocket. I can't do this. I can't do that. And my parents would always tell me, like, like, you don't need an actual job. Like, why don't you just going to school is your job? I was like, but I don't get any money going to school. They're like, well, if you go to school and you work hard and this, that, and the third, you'll ultimately get a good job, so then you can have money. But like I said, at that point in time, like, that goes in one ear and out the other, because you're 15, 16 years old, and you're like, I want money now. I need money now. There's things I want to buy right now. There's things that you're not giving me money for now. So, like I said, if we ultimately taught these kids, like, at an early age, how to really work, or how hard it is to work for money. Like I said, you give these kids jobs at fast food restaurants, the movie theater, minuscule jobs that people who can't actually, like, live off of wages they can't, people can't live off of. So this way we can start generating people to, or at least promoting people to get to the point where they're actually, like, thinking of themselves as more than just being the cashier at this place that may pay them $15 an hour to be a cashier, better than being just the stocking person at Walmart or whatever, because Walmart's paying people $17 an hour to stock groceries or whatever. Like I said, that's a job for a 17, 18-year-old who's in high school or whatever. Like, in high school, especially like seniors, as you think about it, I know at South Grand Prairie, you could either have the choice to come to school late and leave early, or you have the choice to come late. Wait, y'all, you get what I'm saying? You can come early, leave late, or no, come early, leave early, come late, and leave when school normally gets out. So, like I said, like, if you're a stocker at Walmart and you're at work till 3 o'clock in the morning, but you don't have to be to school till 12 o'clock, like I said, that works in your favor or whatever. I don't think that's exactly how the timing went, but yeah. But we got Jared back. What's up? What else did you want to say?
You have the option to either come to school late or leave early. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. But honestly, I kind of forgot what I was gonna say. It was off something else you was saying earlier, and then you kind of went into. I mean, it was kind of off the same point, but you went into a different point. But what I want to say, basically off of what you just said, like, yeah, it kind of made me think about it, how they can actually have something with like a Walmart or Albertsons or some sort of grocery store or a few different grocery stores to have some sort of program within, you know what I'm saying, their high school to have, you know, part of their schooling be, okay, well, from this period to this period, maybe like 3 hours or so, they go and they work as a cashier. Obviously, you know, they're going to have someone help them. So this way, you know, maybe it's another avenue to make some sort of money like immediately instead of you having to work, having you go to school for 8 hours and then work a part-time job on top of that to make a little bit of money. And then this way, if you decide, hey, maybe I'm not going off to college immediately, or I'm going to a community college somewhere around here, you know, these people already know you. So, you know, obviously if you did well while you were working at the store or whatever, there's a much higher chance of them actually hiring you on because they already know how you work. And if they like it, then, you know, and even, you know, if it's something that's just like senior year or junior year, something that's 1 or 2 years, maybe even if they like you enough, you could start with the promotion, you know. I feel like it's just a better way to have it because you already have young people working in a lot of these stores anyways. And I guess, you know, some people will say that's taking jobs away from other people, but it's just part-time. And I mean, everyone knows that Walmart can use a few more cashiers.
Yeah, no, but yeah, to kind of like you were saying, my idea works more so in the thought that instead of you actually going to school, um, like part time or whatever, say your ninth grade year is technically a year that you just go to work. So all the kids who are in ninth grade have local jobs within that area. So think about it, South Grand Prairie. If all the ninth graders worked at the Home Depot, the Starbucks, the QT, all these little places that are right there around that, that these people, they hire the kids at this age anyway. They do just have to have like work permits and they can only work so many hours. Granted, we're already keeping kids in school for 8 hours. They know what it's like to be somewhere for 8 hours. Like I said, at this point in time, if you give all these kids these jobs, you give them particular hours that they have to work, just like everybody else. So it's just like, okay, well, now you've been going to school ever since 8th grade. Now you come to the point where now you could have a job and stuff like that. So now you're at the year that you work or whatever. So everybody knows, okay, well, ninth grade year, all right, yeah, they get excited. Oh yeah, next year I'm gonna be in ninth grade. I'm not gonna have to go to school. I get to work or whatever, and they still get regular working hours like anybody else. Like I said, so there's kids who still work, who might work from 5 to whatever. So this way, it gives those kids that opportunity or that chance to really feel what it's like to be out there working. So this way, maybe the next year they give them the option, like, after your freshman, you get the option. You can either take your sophomore year, or what would technically be like your freshman year, I guess, because you're learning or whatever. I mean, of course, at that point, they would have to restructure what you're learning and stuff like that. But at your sophomore year of high school, you could take the choice to go to class or you could work. And even at then, you still, like, I guess at this point they would have to incorporate the college system into like high school. So of course at this point you would probably go to school for a lot longer because the structure that's put in place, like I said, if you're giving all these part-time jobs to all these students and stuff like that, there's not going to be part-time jobs for people to actually, just try and live off of. There's not going to be people who are servers at Denny's and they're still trying to, like make a living wage at that point. Like I said, all those little insequential jobs would go to, the high school students. Like I said, sophomore year, they can go to class or they can continue to work. Like I said, but at that point, there's going to be like, okay, well, maybe you can work your freshman and sophomore year, but then you have to go back to school for 2 more years, and then you can come back to, like, the working force. But once you come back after, you went back to school for 2 years, now you get this next level up of jobs. Like, you can be, like, the assistant manager, or you can be the manager at this particular establishment. Maybe you work at the same place, maybe you don't. You get new skills or whatever. Like I said, and then it becomes mandatory for people to go to college. So instead of, you go to school, you technically go to school for 20 years because incorporated in going to school is, working and stuff like that. So it's going to be putting money into the economy and all types of like positive things that could come from it. But in a nutshell, like I said, it'd be like you go to school for a few years, you go to work for a few years, you go back to school for a few years, and then eventually you come out with what, a bachelor's degree. And now everybody comes out with a bachelor's degree, and now it's not looked at like, oh, you could have this big better lifestyle if you go to college. You could have a big better job, because there's so many jobs that just ask you to have at least 2 years of college or whatever, and all those jobs would be available to everybody else who's working out here, because everybody's got this 2-year college degree or whatever. You get where I'm coming from? I mean, but that would take a lot of changing. Hmm. I feel like also that would lower the. I feel like ultimately it could lower the crime rate, because now, like I said, all those young people who are feeling like they need money, because ultimately those are the kids who are doing the small crimes, breaking into people's houses, breaking in people's cars, stuff like that. Now you give them some sense of pride or something, something they're working towards. They're actually making their own money. Now they can take, value in the stuff that they own or stuff that they're buying for themselves. Because granted, now they're taking care of themselves, and that's ultimately, you think about it too. That's the age at which like you really start to get a sense of personality, like the clothing you want to wear, the shoes you want to have, the things you want to have in life. Like I said, if you're at a freshman, sophomore in school, and you're working at the Foot Locker or whatever, yeah, by the time your sophomore year comes around, or your junior year or whatever, you could come to school and be the freshest kid in school, because the last 2 years you've been working at the flight club or whatever, you done developed all kinds of new skills and stuff like that. Like you can ultimately, like you said, like networking and stuff like that. Like you'll be able to network with just even the people at your own age group. Like it'll be a so much more relatable thing to do. Like I said, you've been working. Oh, where you were working at? Oh, you've been working for the last 2 years, bro. I ain't seen you in a minute. Or you have seen them because you frequent the place that they work at, or whatever it may be. But there's, like you said, there's gonna be a lot of new avenues for people to network and stuff like that. You did you want to interject or have a comment about anything, or just thinking about like what we've talked about, Mary? In a sense, you have anything to say?
No, I think you guys are doing a great job.
Okay, I just making sure. You're sitting over there pretty quiet and stuff. But I was just saying. But Jerry, were you going to say something?
I was gonna say, damn, I was gonna say something. I keep forgetting. I'm kind of hard.
Sometimes I can make you forget stuff.
About just like working, like you said, like working. My phone about to die, but it's just going out like that. But yeah. So just like working like in the community and just being around, and you can this way too. Like I feel like a lot of kids will have more of like a lay of the land and shit like that too. Because I feel like a lot of people don't like really understand the directions or like their neighborhood, like all the streets and stuff like that, just for the simple fact that they just go to school and home for the most part, and maybe like go around their neighborhood, but they're not really like, they may go to the store with their parents and everything like that. But I feel like just being out in the world, because also too, I'm like really thinking about how the job thing would be like you said, they go and work for like a year, but I'm not sure if you said this or not, but you can have them go and work in so many different places. You know what I'm saying? You can have them working and they can just, even if they're just working at grocery stores, they can just work at so many different grocery stores, or they can show them a little bit of stuff in like warehouses and things like that. I know there's like child labor laws, so maybe certain stuff that they can't do, but you could at least show them around and have them do certain jobs in those places, like bookkeeping jobs in those places, but still they can still see out the inner workings of it and things like that. So they'll just have so many different skills and so many different. They can have basic knowledge and they can have entry level skills in so many different fields. So this way, it's like, whenever it's over and they want to go just get like an entry level job while they go try to pursue like a higher education or whatever they want to do, they have entry level experience in X amount of fields.
Yeah,
and there's just
trade. They can learn a trade basically.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, but not. I mean, yeah, kind of like a trade, but more just in the simple fact that there's so many jobs that are like no experience, but then there's a lot of jobs that you at least need entry level experience. You have to at least know like the basics. And a lot of times, just in general, whenever job postings, they'll have like entry level experience or something like that, or little experience, and you really don't need any experience because they'll train you anyway. But a lot of people will just back away from it and not even apply because, like, oh, well, I don't have entry level experience. But if it's to the point where almost everybody has entry level experience on almost any field, then it's like, you know what I'm saying, just the job opportunities are more out there. You're more confident whenever you're filling out an application because you have so many skills. And I know a lot of people, including myself, have like resume anxiety, I guess. I know there's a lot of stuff that I can do, but it's not on like that's stuff I've never done on like a professional level. I've never done like an actual work environment. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't know if I can actually put that on the resume because it's not something that I did in an actual work environment. But with the system being set up like the way we're theorizing right now.
I think it's fun.
There's so much. experience before they even really entered the working field. You know what I'm saying? The working class. Before they ever actually entered the working class, their resume is already 2 pages long because they did so much stuff in high school. And then that's when I feel like things will really stand out. Like, the people that went the extra mile, or the people that, are really smart or really whatever. I feel like people will stand out more if, instead of, most people having no experience, and then some people have a little bit of experience, people that have a little experience standing out, it'd be like, all right, well, everyone has a lot of experience. Now we have to really look at, what really makes, people special or whatever. So, I just feel like it would be easier for people to get jobs in general, and it would take away a lot of the stress of even looking for jobs.
Yeah, no, definitely, because if you think about it from that point of view, like, there's going to be certain people who love simple jobs, like just those jobs that need to be done. There's people who thoroughly enjoy being the garbage man. I mean, but there's a lot of people who are the garbage man who hate that job, and they don't want to be the garbage man anymore, but garbage men make a pretty good living, actually. A lot of people don't know that. And some of these people might not even be the people who want this complex lifestyle with a big giant family and, living off the salary that a garbage man makes, and being just that single person who, just wants to live that simple lifestyle. Like, they could be that person and be completely content and happy with the simple lifestyle that they have. But a lot of people can't come to that conclusion because they're so forced into, like, the work environment and stuff like that to, do all this stuff and live this extravagant lifestyle, or even, like just how we started out today's conversation with, having FOMO and stuff like that. People make them think that they really want to, go out and party and all this other stuff. And it takes people a long time. And they might be well into their 30s and they realize that they really don't even want to live a simple lifestyle and do all this stuff. But they probably went to college for, 4 years, 3 years, and now they have all this debt built up, and now they're like forced to be in a industry and work at this big job or whatever, and they make so much money, but in reality they're really not spending it on much of anything because they're just sitting at home. They go do their job, they're paying their debt, and then they just, live their life in this big, nice house or whatever, but they're just like, we really could care less about having this nice house or whatever. And like I said, they've worked so hard already. They're like, well, why would I squander off all my hard work? In reality, they really wanted to live a simple lifestyle when there's all these other people who have all this ambition and drive to really go out and do all these things that, one of these people who've had the opportunity to actually, go to college and do, like I said, some people work and stuff like that, and they work probably twice as hard as the person who didn't even want to have that type of lifestyle. They really just wanted something simple, and, they don't even make it maybe halfway to where that person makes. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and it could, play a part. And it'd be crazy to see how reality would shift if something like that were to happen, but we can't ever say it.
Yeah, a lot of people work or less likely, I feel like, to get stuck in a job that they just absolutely hate because they've already got to experience so many different jobs. They know what they
like and don't like, yeah.
They graduate and they're like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to college because that's what I was always told to do. And I really don't know what I'm even trying to do. I'm just going to college because I'm being told to go, not because I actually want to go. And I remember what I was going to say earlier about just like how it doesn't evolve. I don't know if they do because I haven't been in school, obviously, but like at some point they're going to have to start teaching like social media etiquette in school, right? Because it's going to be a huge part of like everybody's lives. They got to start that like kindergarten.
Social media etiquette. That's an interesting thing to really think about. Would they be teaching social media etiquette? Do you have anything to say to that?
I mean, they probably will, because people clearly don't know how to talk or do anything on social media without acting an ass. So that sounds like a very viable option for a class.
I feel like if anything, they'll just try to incorporate it in. They'll be like, "Oh, this is English / social media etiquette class. So this is how you put in a proper period, and this is how you use an exclamation mark." The end.
I stopped this headphone even though I'm not listening on my headphones. Or have like a social media guidance council, like because like the guidance counselor, they kind of help with like bullying and stuff. I guess schools know that like cyberbullying and stuff is a thing, but like it's not. It's bigger than because they kind of started talking about cyberbullying and stuff when I was in like middle school. But like that was like 06, 07, and it was like MySpace. But like obviously the internet's a lot bigger now than it was back then, and it's a lot more toxic now because it's a lot bigger. And yeah, like just being able to they have like a regular guidance counselor for bullying, and then they have another one for like cyberbullying or social media bullying, or just how to handle things over the internet or how to interact over the internet and not. Because some people are empowered because they can just say anything without having their face or real name on it, and they can just say anything to whoever, any celebrity or whatever they want, and just be able to get away with it with no real face-to-face interaction. And then there's also the people that are on the receiving end, and people are just like killing themselves over it. And I know a lot of people don't listen to like their parents and when it comes to stuff like that because their parents are lame or whatever. But if there's like something that's just like, because I mean, in school is indoctrination anyway, so might as well have someone there that's indoctrinating you for the good and being like someone that you can feel like someone that you can probably. That's the only thing though. I'm not like a personal guidance counselor, but I feel like they'd have to have more than just like one like they have at schools. They'd have to have like a couple of them. But like I said, the way you're doing it, where everything is all kind of like one thing, like kindergarten through whatever, the 20 years you're in school, college, and you're working all the other stuff, it's all like one system. They could do it like I'm thinking, like you have the one guidance counselor your entire, your entire tenure at the school or whatever. So this way, the same person you start talking to when you're 5 is the same person you're talking to when you're 18, and you've already built up this trust in them. You know what I'm saying? You're basically with them your whole life. So whenever you get to like 13, 14, and you start really getting into social media, even though I mean they really get into it way younger than that, but when you're starting to deal with some of the stuff that people deal with on social media now, you have someone that you really can confide in and can really trust, and that you'll really take their advice when they just tell you like, hey, if someone's talking to you over the internet, it's just the internet. It's not like a real thing, and not take it personally. And if it's really bothering you, get off, like log the fuck out. Because a lot of people, and also too, just to kind of teach people how to separate what's going on the internet from their real actual life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because some people take it so their internet personality is, they invest so much into it, they take it as if you insult their internet personality or do anything against their internet personality, it's like a personal attack on them. Well, it's like, it's just the internet. You just need to separate yourself from the image of yourself that you've created on the internet. I don't know. Basically, because I know you're trying to wrap this up, what I'm trying to say is school, my main point of school should prepare you for real life. And as it is right now, it doesn't do that. And in fact, it does the exact opposite. It gives you a false reality of what life is supposed to be. And once you get out of school, you realize that you have to unlearn so much shit that you learned in school. And I feel like it holds back to becoming who they're really supposed to be, because you have to take all this time for yourself to really reflect and try to figure out what's really going on in the world. And then, you know what I'm saying, you can start going from there. Because school puts you at a deficit instead of preparing you for life.
Yeah, definitely public school. That's for sure. Because they if anything, they put you around a whole bunch of kids who are raised by a whole bunch of other people, and you don't know how these kids are gonna affect the other kids. And then, like you said, you incorporate social media into everything. Because I know when Janae was in middle school, there was a whole big thing about exposing people, and people, the like you said, the personality that somebody portrays themselves as online is not the same person as they portray themselves in real life. And a lot of stuff gets put online, and they use it, and they call, they have the thing that they call now receipts. They can get receipts on people and stuff like that. So now you're like, they'll use your social media against you, and find it to try test if you're telling the truth or not. And everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's about being politically correct, or just actually saying the right thing, using the right terminology, or at least just or portraying themselves properly. Like I said, you can portray yourself on social media one way and then be another person in real life, and people try to use what you post on social media against you to say like, oh, you're not really this person, or you're not really doing this, you're not really out here like that, and so on and so forth. That's a lot of what honestly, it's funny because that's a lot of what battle rap is, and they need to kind of keep that in battle rap. But like pulling out receipts on people and stuff like that. But honestly, yeah, it is, like you were saying, there's a lot to all that, and the social media aspect of school and stuff like that, because that is definitely a toxic environment. So just the internet in general, like, it doesn't do anything but create toxicity and toxic energy amongst people. But I mean, it does generate some positivity, I'm not gonna lie and say it's all toxic, but to the point, like I was saying, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it with being in school. And definitely the what you said with all, and what's the word I'm looking for, creating, like the job of a social media, or like a just a counselor for kids who have to deal with being bullied on social media and stuff like that. That would be a lifelong like type of job. You think about it, you're dedicating 20 years. There's some people only work in a field for 20 years and retire. You think about it. So you could solely, your job alone could be just to mentor 20, 30 other kids, and mentor them for their entire school career of almost 20 years, or if not longer than that. Like, that would be an incredible lifelong job. And like, even after, it's funny because I was thinking about it, and even after you say you spend 20 years being a mentor to somebody, that type of job it'd be strenuous and stressful in a sense, but at the same time, it wouldn't be something that somebody couldn't do for 40 years or whatever. Granted, whatever their life gives them, how many years or whatever, but you could go on and then become the teacher to the people who are trying to become these type of counselors and stuff like that. I mean, you can do that for a few years after you've mentored your 30 students or whatever, mentor, or even if, the kids that you mentor, like half of them become mentors themselves and stuff like that. Like, it would be an interesting field that would be created just off of that pure premise of, like having, changing the whole schooling system and stuff like that. That'd be interesting. But this is definitely a conversation that we can continue on another day. Tomorrow we'll probably be talking about something else. I appreciate you for coming in today, Jared, and everything you had to say and talked about and stuff. Your perspective is definitely valued on my show and stuff like that, and definitely want to hear a lot more from you. But I'm going to end it for today. You can go ahead and say bye to everybody, and drop your info in there if you want to, so you can, get your shout out in or whatever. But yeah, you can go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate you for having me on. I'm gonna get my shit started, so I'm talking about, you can come on mine when I get all that shit going. But yeah, see y'all later. _Waterly on Instagram. My shit's not all consolidated, so it's not all one name. But if you find me on there, you can probably find me everywhere else. Whatever, we'll figure it out at some point. But also, too, I wanted to say about what you were going to talk about next. I say you should talk about cancel culture.
We can do that. We can probably talk about cancel culture tomorrow.
And then also too, it might be. It definitely wouldn't be able to be done in an hour. But if you're trying to do a more long form one, or when I get my shit up, we could do it there because I want mine to be more long form. But we gotta talk about how the internet is the greatest and worst invention ever.
Yeah, it ultimately is just getting us ready to be 6 feet apart. So that was all it was.
Oh wow.
They had a 100-year plan for us. You just didn't know.
Okay. Yeah, we can get into that for sure.
All right.
But all right, I'm trying to get on Fortnite.
All right, let me close this out on Instagram and then close out the rest of my.
I got Mary's attention.
All right, peace. Later. Thank you, everybody, over at Instagram for tuning in. I know we had to double down on 2 different videos, but it's cool. I hope y'all come back, watch on Instagram, on IGTV. As y'all can see, all the returns are going to be on IGTV as well as over here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Today, for some reason, it started late on Twitch. Oh, my battery just died. I don't care. Mary is going to be... Oh, no, you can still see me here. It doesn't matter because that plays over there. But, yes, appreciate everybody for stopping in today. Come in tomorrow. We're going to have a whole nother conversation tomorrow. We're going to be here on Instagram. If y'all can, everybody on Instagram, go over to Twitch, create a profile. This way you can get the full-on effect of the show. It's way better over there on Twitch. Like I said, find me at J for the Dub on Twitch. There's going to be, you can see Mary, you can see the Instagram live feed. Go check it out right now. Matter of fact, you can catch the end of the show as I'm closing it out right here. Like I said, there's so much more that you can see over there on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube. Go check us out over there. I believe the sound quality and stuff is better. We're going to have an amazing conversation tomorrow, so tune in. Tune in. There's no reason you should not tune in. Go check out my page. Go see some of the other episodes of Return. Like I said, there's way more episodes of Return on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. You can catch us out there all the time. The conversation we had about school today got very interesting. We went over our time. We're actually at like almost 2 hours at this point. The conversation about FOMO definitely went in a completely different direction. But like I said, everybody has the fear of missing out. There's so much going on. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to get more into it. We're going to talk more with Mary and stuff like that. Her opinion is one that's definitely valued so much on my show. Like I said, I love having her on and so on. I realized that a lot of people on Twitch probably couldn't hear me that well because my mic was far away from my face, but that's okay. I'm sorry. And I'm trying to close this out. Like I said, they can barely hear me anyway. But like I said, go check me out. J for the Dub, J for the Dub, J for the Dub, J for the Dub, JAY4 THADUB Dub on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch, where we stream there all the time. Like I said, we're probably gonna get into some Fortnite. Like Jared was saying, we might stream some Fortnite later on today. It depends on if my office gets fully together or not. We will definitely see what the future brings. Like I said, keep tuning in. Keep tuning in. Keep tuning in. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. I appreciate everybody and all that good stuff. Stay tuned. Come back with me. Peace. I'm Jay for the Dub. It's a ma'am. And